we met a woman who was waiting for her husband to come in with, her husband is a fisherman, and she was waiting for him to come home with that day's catch. And she was telling us that sometimes he comes home and he doesn't have anything.
You have this teacher who said that you can't get any position if you don't pay a certain amount. Like even if it's a substitute position.
We met with so many people who didn't know how they were going to pay for next month's rent, which means that they didn't know whether they were going to have a roof over their heads next month. That's how on the edge so many provincial Filipinos are. They live right on the edge of being homeless, of having no food, having no place to live.
Suriin ng Kahirapan, a community audit of poverty in the Philippines. It's a project initiated by the Philippine Center for Investigative Journalism.
That the journalists sensed for a long time that something was missing, but more importantly, the public sensed that there was something missing, because the public they were the subject of our stories, and they knew better what was going on.
PCIJ wants to present the different aspects of poverty, and so the Suriin project has two components. First is the website, where we make available to the public all relevant information regarding poverty in those 5 provinces. So if you look at the website, you'd see the windows, one for each province, and then you see all the kind of figures that are there. Example, the financial highlights of the province, yung budget, the COA audit report, the poverty alleviation programs of the province, even also the political leaders in the province and their statements of assets, liabilities and net worth, and their profiles. The use of the internet, of the website, to air these problems, and I think that's one of the great features of Suriin. You bring the small voices to a medium that has a very wide impact.
The project uses a method called crowdsourcing, which is this very fancy word that means letting the people tell their own stories. In traditional journalism, the source of stories usually comes from within the newsroom. Reporters think of ideas and then they go out into the world and they gather information from various sources, including people with first-hand knowledge. Crowdsourcing kind of turns that upside down by letting the source of the stories come from the masses themselves, from the people on the ground. They generate the story ideas.
Know your enemy. Pati yung taga-timpla ng kami ng mga politiko dito, pinaalam namin yung identity. Lalo na yung mga goods nila. Plate number ng sasakyan. Kasi marami na kasi mga incidents baga na yung mga extrajudicial, yung mga media killings. Yung mga part of course suspects or militias.
Binaril na po siya. May tama na po siya.
Parang bala.
Opo, parang dito tapos hindi raw nakalabas yung bala kasi double action.
Double action.
Kumintura po dito. Nakita po yung bala nung nag-imbalsa mo na.
Bilog pa rin.
Nakita.
Yan. Ba't binabawal to na samantala? Ano yan sa dagat? Hindi yan sa ilalim. Di ba ang binabawan, yun umaano sa mga corals, sumisira. Ito hindi naman to ano sa corals.
Na natuwa nga yung mga tao kasi mag-ooperate na naman ang mina. Kasi nung may operation ng mina, parang medyo buhay ang ekonomiya, parang masaya ang mga tao. Nakita natin itong mga dokumento. Na ito palang mga sinabi nilang employment, taxes, lahat pala sinungaling.
It's, I think, one of the first journalistic project on crowdsourcing in the Philippines, and PCIJ is very proud of this project. It involves basically mobilizing the community through the NGOs, organizations, the different leaders in the community to help media, to help the PCIJ monitor the different indicators of poverty in their respective areas.
The whole method of crowdsourcing gives the power back to the people and lets them dictate how their stories are told. They would know better than we would because we live in Manila. We don't know what's going on in Zamboanga del Norte on a daily basis. There's just no way to know. And what Suriin does is that it allows PCIJ to provide training to people who don't have journalism training so that they can know how to gather information and how to present that information to the larger public.
You have community helping media from Manila to get information, and then media going to the community to be able to help, or some way be able to help the community address their problems. Merong amazement that from the national media going to an island like Masbate, for example, and we didn't just go to the city or to the capital. We went around Masbate, for example. We went to Aroroy, a mining community that has a lot of problems, and then we went to fishing villages and talked to people, and we told them about a project that will enable them to express themselves and explain their problems and what they want government to do about it. And the initial reaction is amazement and gratitude.
The most important thing about this project is the relationship that we develop, we meaning PCIJ, with our partners in the province. Once we've established communications, and we have to establish face-to-face communications first, we have to meet each other, we have to do some training, and we get to learn to trust each other. And once we've established that relationship, then we can communicate on a regular basis through all sorts of ways, through text, even texting, through online chats, through internet messages, through telephone. If you tell your information to PCIJ, PCIJ is the kind of organization, as I described earlier, that's small and mighty. It can get the word out to the general public. It can put it in big newspapers, and it can get it on the major television stations. So that lone teacher in the province has a link to some real power through PCIJ. It's considered sort of a new frontier in journalism, and who knows why it's a new frontier. It should have taken place a long time ago, but the technology, the internet, and all these high-tech communications that we have today allows for this to happen.
I don't know if this is reaching for the stars, pero sana the community organizations, at least, that have become parts of the networks that we're building in those 5 provinces would find inspiration in the stories that would come out, in the sharing of the experiences, and in the training that we will be conducting, not just for the local media but also for the community leaders. The kind of training that would help them analyze problems and find solutions, not just to gripe or to complain, but really find concrete solutions to the poverty problems.